Start those people. Yes, did it. Great, great. All right, we're going to try this again, folks. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Frank's Corner. I have I have issues with this streaming. Sometimes it's interesting. It messes with me, but I mean, there's not really much I can do once it starts happening. But it just is what it is. It is what it is. But then my son tells me one thing, and then I go back to look, and well, I guess we're okay. We're streaming. So if we're streaming, we're good. All right, everybody. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. Everybody got what they wanted to get this year. I had a lot of fun with Christmas. Personally, I had a lot of fun. I dressed up as Santa Claus for in my Uber mobile for 4 days, which was fun. On the last day, though, stores were closed on Christmas Day, and I had to pick up some stuff. So as soon as I finished working, I went over to the HEB here in San Marcos and had a good time. And I was still dressed up as Santa, so I went shopping as Santa, and all the kids waving, Santa and taking pictures, and it was a lot of fun. And then get back to where I live, and kids walking around had to come up and get their picture with me, so that was a lot of fun too. I got to make a few people happy, a few kids smile. It's always a plus in life. Life's kind of short. So, all right, let's talk about a few things that I've read yesterday and some today. Uh, I want to start off with the plaques that I read about today in the White House that are insulting Obama, Biden, and of all people, Bill Clinton. I'm sorry. I don't know what MAGA or Republicans actually think. I do understand they're not very educated. I do understand this. And, even if some of them are military, that doesn't mean they're educated neither. It just means they're military. MAGA Republicans are pretty stupid. That's all it means. For the educated military that's not, so naive as to fall into the MAGA crap, and I salute you, buddy. But, it's these plaques that I read about today that are talking trash about those three particular people. So I want to put this out for the megas, Republicans, just in case y'all come over here to see what kind of trash I'm talking about. Donald the Dump Trump. But just in case you come, let me give you some information. We know, I especially know, because Trump likes to target individuals he's jealous of. He's jealous because they did a better job than him, and they're just better people than him. But I want to go back to Clinton, and I got to be honest. I have voted Republican and Democrat over the years, and one of my more favorite presidents was again Ronald Reagan. I liked Ronald Reagan. I watched him on TV, became the president. His he at the time his trickle down theory seemed to be something that would work. Unfortunately, it didn't because unlike us normal folks, who when we get a little bit more than we're spending, giving it to somebody, spending it or something. When you give rich people a tax break, they're not helping their employees. They're not helping anything, their vendors or anything else. What they're doing is making more money and putting it in their pocketbook. Trump believed that they would, it would be a trickle down theory, which means he'd give them a break and they'd help the people underneath them, the people that work for him. That's not how it worked. Sadly, it, fell through. But I want to go to Clinton because Donald Trump's, talking trash about Clinton. So, you dumb Republican mega idiots, let me explain something to you about Clinton. And now we can go with the Epstein files. I don't care if he's in the Epstein files. I don't really care. I don't care that Monica Lewinsky went down and sucked his cock, neither. Don't get me wrong. I don't care. What I cared about at the time when I voted for him the first and second time was our country was to do better. And lo and behold, go check it out. He had the country in a surplus. Okay, for you people that don't understand what surplus means, it means we weren't operating in a deficit. We were actually making money as a country. He set it up with a 13-year surplus set up when he left office. It was George W. Bush Jr. that killed that surplus in his first year in office, a Republican at that. So the Republicans never have, in the history of the United States, ever made our country any money. It was done by, hold on, two Democrats. Two Democrats. Andrew Jackson the first, Bill Clinton the second. Two Democrats. The only good thing the Republicans had ever did is not no good at all. They just keep raising the deficit. So let's talk about that too. Now, I read yesterday and I read the day before a grain company, 70-year-old grain company that, actually buys stuff from farmers and, pays them and stuff, went out of business, and a lot of farmers are hanging and not getting their money. So this is a direct effect of Donald Trump's policies. We had a 30 billion surplus in steel and aluminum, and it got erased overnight with that 100% tariff kicked in. Erased. I understand you people think that these tariffs are helping. It's not. It's costing us more money. It's going to cost us more money. You keep in mind, from this laptop I'm talking on, this mic I'm talking on, this icebox over here, this printer on this side of me, a toaster in the kitchen, any other device that I use requires steel, metal, aluminum, and we buy all that outside the country. Now, there's a 100% tariff on it. Understand what I mean by 100% tariff. And trust me, although Donald fucking dumped the Trump, is stupid motherfucker thinking that corporations are going to lose money because he wants something done. I mean, nobody's going to follow that fucking ape beside the dumb apes that follow him. I'm sorry. And yeah, I don't mean that ape as in black people. I just mean he's dumb as an ape, buddy. He just is. I think that this stuff's about to hit us and hit us hard. And, it doesn't matter because once the damage is done and the prices go up, I don't care what these mega Republicans start saying when they start crying about it. It's still their fault. It will always be their fault. But I can't wholly put the blame on them because I don't really think Trump won the election. I think they rigged the election for him. That much I believe wholeheartedly, and he's actually stated it a couple of times that the election was rigged. And that's understandable because, for him, he was going to prison. I don't give a fuck who the fuck you think you are. If he wouldn't have got elected president, he'd be going to prison. And now the Supreme Court's trying to give him more power. Understand right now, although you don't realize that you're in a dictatorship. This is exactly what you're in, a dictatorship. And the Supreme Court keeps giving him more power. I've never seen any president go on a power grab like this one. Why? Because he wants to be a dictator. And you can sit here and say he's not. That's a lie. That's paranoia. It's not paranoia. It's not a lie. I'm just not stupid if you think that all of that is paranoia and a lie. Unfortunately, you're the stupid one. And you're going to find out soon. It's coming. I do know it's coming. NATO's building, Russia's building some troops up on NATO, right on the line of NATO because he knows that Donald damn stupid ass dumped the Trump. That piece of shit's going to pull out of NATO, and we won't be there to go to war with NATO. And of course, there's only one time where Article 13 has ever been applied, and that was during the 9/11 attacks, and that's when all of our countries considered that an attack, and everybody joined the United States and what was going on at that point. So that's the only time the NATO has been actually tested, and they all did what they were supposed to do. This president here who wants to lie and say they won't do what they're supposed to do, but that's just his lie. And of course, you dumbasses will believe it. It's okay. I mean, it's not really okay. It shows how smart you really are, but still, not much I can do about it. Go ahead and believe the bullshit you want to believe. I mean, a birthright citizenship president that wants to do away with birthright, that's funny enough. who's got a problem with immigration, yet his parents were immigrants, who's got a problem with immigration, yet his wives were immigrants, and one of his wives came over here illegally on an Epstein visa. Put the math together. So we have become a white people are the supreme, and everybody else is just secondary to nothing. This was the mentality of the slave owners back in the day, and I thought we got past all of that. I don't agree with taking Native American history out of history itself, or Black history out of history itself, or trying to erase the black squadrons and military personnel that came and served the country and did their thing, put their life on the line. The Native Americans did the same thing. And then just to try to erase their existence in history is pretty sad. And the colleges and universities actually following suit because of the president we have, that's pretty sad too. It's like nobody wants to fight this old orange looking fucking pumpkin. And of course, we know he's in bad health. They'll continue to lie and say he's in good health, but we know he's in bad health. And damn, he can't die fast enough. Trust me. Lucifer's waiting on his fucking ass along with all of his followers. Don't worry, Trump, you followers, you're all going to be meeting Lucifer at one point. I understand this. But, again, not much I can do about it. I can just sit here and talk and, eventually I'll get famous enough. We'll see if it happens. That Trump comes after me. That's okay. I don't really mind. I find it kind of funny. I have several generations of family members born in the United States, so it's all good. But I ain't gonna lie. My family, the biggest bulk of my DNA is French. So we came over, Napoleon Bonaparte when French had Louisiana. So even we immigrated here at some point. And then my grandmother was Native American, so I have some Cherokee in me too. So she was native as going to be, so with her family. So that's okay. I have some family that was here before any white people stepped over, and some part of my family that came over from France. It's okay. Oddly enough, in my 23andMe, I have some Italian, some Dutch, some Scottish. So apparently, my ancestors definitely mixed interrace a lot. It's okay. That happens. I don't see a problem with it, but apparently all these other people do. And the Kirk's wife is another one that makes me laugh. Who, again, I'll stick by what I say. She killed her husband to get his money because they were on the split up. She's done everything she can to make more profit off her husband's name since he's been dead. So if you believe her, I'm sorry. Shame on you. Because she's just another gold digger. And putting, in another thing, let's put, what is that? Kirk's company into the schools now. I'm sorry, but if you're going to put them into the United States schools, you might as well put Muslims' beliefs in the schools and what they do, and everybody else. Don't try just pushing Christianity. I'm sorry. I'm a Christian, but I'm a sad Christian. I'll explain why I'm a sad Christian. Because every other fucking Christian, Republican Christian, mega Christian have just fucking trampled on the Bible itself as much as they can. I'll say it again. My God, the person I worship, the one I believe in, would never support Trump. Ever, 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 ever support his ass. It just wouldn't happen. Because my God would not be behind a pedophile, adulteress, lying, convict, felon, who rip people off with fake charity, a fake university, who just does nothing but lie through his teeth every single day. And I know why he does it. Because his followers are so stupid, they just suck it up through a straw. I mean, realistically, get realistic, bud. I just find that amazing. So he continues to lie because he knows his followers will just suck it up. It's almost like a cocaine addiction. They're all addicted to listening to him lie and believing it. That's just funny. Funny as shit I've ever heard, but it's okay. But just his actions show how little of a dick he has. That's a fact. I have never seen a president want to denounce other presidencies. Biden didn't take down Trump shit when he took office, so now Trump's taking apart everything he could take apart because he's jealous. I understand. Are you jealous of Obama? Obama was a smart man, well-educated man, really well-educated man with a degree from fucking Harvard that your son couldn't even get into, Mr. Donald the Dump Trump. I understand. Your son couldn't get there because he wasn't smart enough. And even if you watch Obama now, he handles things with a lot of dignity. He doesn't jump down to Trump's level. He just handles things with a lot of dignity. He has a lot more dignity and class than Donald Trump ever will. And so did Biden. And so did Clinton. And like I said, I don't really care what a person does. Not even Donald Trump. I don't give a fuck if Donald Trump's got 10 people sucking his dick, unless they're underage at that point. I do have a problem. But I don't really care. What I care about is what's he doing for the country, and unfortunately, he's dismantling my country. So everybody that, Hegseth, Naomi, all of you motherfuckers, y'all need to take your ass to some dictatorship country and go and get into power over there and get the fuck out of the United States. That's my opinion. And these motherfuckers say, if you don't like it here, go leave this country. No, bitch, you leave this country. We've never been a dictatorship here. We've never fucking been a communist country here. We've never had fascists running our country. We've never bent down to fascist dictators or anything else. And we shouldn't be bending down to them right now. At some point, every one of us, whether you're old or young, we're going to have to stand up against this stuff. I mean, realistically, we're going to have to stand up and fight against this stuff. If we value our country, we love our country, we love our democracy. If we sit back and do nothing, we're to blame. Just as much as they're to blame for destroying it, we're to blame for allowing it to be destroyed. So at what point do we actually get up and say enough is enough? There's 300 plus million people here. We hold the power. Our military is really small. This ain't China, who's got a billion-man army, which would outnumber our fucking population, and that's a fact. But we are 300 plus million strong. If we stand together and say enough is a fucking enough, then we can get it to stop. But we'll only do that when we unite. We spend so much time fighting the race war. There's a race war. Trump is fucking threw coal on top of that motherfucker. That big, beautiful coal. Nice, clean coal. That crazy shit that he does with that kind of stuff. He just keeps fanning the flames. And we just keep, being distracted. We need to stop being distracted. This is the truth. We need to take some individuals from each race that are well respected and have the belief that we all should band together and fight what's going on right now, and get them together and lead the charge and get past all of this stuff. And I mean that. We have to, again, stand up. Because if we don't, this country, the America I grew up in, will disappear. It's going to disappear. It will be the new dictator. There's so many things Trump has done. Okay, we want to call this the Gulf of Americas. Okay, buddy. Let's get realistic. Mexico existed way before the white pilgrims came over here to settle anything. So the Gulf of Mexico is just fine, buddy. Its history goes back way before the United States. Putting Donald Trump's name on the Kennedy Center, that itself is just an insult to our country. The motherfucker's not even dead yet. And when he is dead and gone, and we get enough smart people elected, everything he did will be erased. Erased, because he's done nothing good for this country. He's done nothing to help us. He damn sure has done a lot to make him and his buddies up there rich. Start reading some of the stuff that just came out. Some contracts that got out from, I think, Christie, that came out that said that 220 million went to some buddies of hers or something she was involved in. They're all patting their pockets with our money, our taxpayers' money. This is true. It doesn't matter how you want to believe it, but it's still true. There's a lot of things I don't want to believe. I don't really want to believe that our country's gotten so stupid we don't see a dictator. Unfortunately, I have to believe it because I see it happening. That's the point. But, again, I'm sad. I really am sad. I'm not sure, you know. I was kind of hoping before I saw crazy shit, I just wouldn't be here and somebody else would have to see it. But unfortunately, I'm here. All the crazy shit goes on. And my mind can't rest with the stuff that's happening in this country. It is just that bad. And the fact that nobody sees it just makes it even, you baffles me even more. Now, I'm not going to say there's not people that don't see it. There are plenty of people that are talking out about what's happening. But the majority of Trump Republican supporters, they don't see anything because they're blind. I did post something today that was really funny, that it was pretty much Donald Trump wants us to be stupid. He does, because he loves stupid people. Look, he wasn't jiving nobody, not lying or anything else when he says he loves stupid people, because stupid people don't have enough education to understand exactly what's happening. They just take whatever he says out of his mouth to be true. And then they don't have enough common sense to go back and check it out. We're 1 year into Donald Trump's. My grocery prices haven't dropped. Actually, a lot of prices are going up. Recession is coming. Don't worry, it's coming. If you want to talk about gas prices, okay, let's talk about gas prices. He said the gas was $1.80 something, and there's no one place in the fucking United States where the gas is that low. It's on average of $2.20 something. But then Trump does not control the gas prices. I'm guessing maybe he could if he keeps stealing oil from Venezuela, or Venezuelans over there trying to mind their business, and we're bombing their people in their water over there, and claiming they're drug runners when they go in the opposite direction of the United States, and then killing whoever's left in the water so they can't go tell the truth. That's what we're doing. We are now the terrorist. I hate to say it, but our country has now made the terrorist list because of the acts of terrorism that we're actually committing under Donald Trump in Hexel. It just is what it is. And it's sad. We stole tankers from Venezuela. Okay, oil tankers. Okay, I understand Donald Trump's desperate to try to figure out how to get the oil price down, but go steal from another country. And really what Donald Trump wants to do is take over Venezuela, because their system is oil based. They have a lot of oil underneath their land. And Trump would like to control it. And then Palestine. Okay, the poor Palestinian people. I'm sorry. I don't condemn them doing any bad stuff. Let's be point blank. I don't condemn anybody, bombing people, shooting people. But really, since the stuff has started, Israel committed a lot of crimes, war crimes themselves, and violated a lot of humanitarian laws. Of course, the United States is doing the same thing, but it's okay. Now they want to, but Donald Trump and them see money in the Palestine area. They can get everybody out and start putting up resorts and stuff and make money. It's all about money in the end. It's not about anything else. So you really, really need to get educated with what's happening. Rich people want to get richer, and they'll steal, if they need to, convince you to give them their money, because, of course, they realize you're stupid. It just happens, and it happens, and it happens. And there's not really anything else that can actually be said about it. It just is what it is. But, again, I'm glad. I appreciate anybody that's come out and listening to my rambling for the day. Obviously, I know I ramble. I apologize for that. I do just try to get out here and talk about things and try to put things out. I realize again that we're in trouble as a country, and anybody that speaks up against Donald Trump, don't worry, we're definitely putting ourselves at risk. We are putting ourselves at risk. There's no ifs or buts about it. Because eventually they'll come after us, because They don't like people putting out information that might wake somebody else up to actually see what's happening. They want everybody in the dark. And that just fascinates me. But anyways, y'all, I hope you have a good New Year's. I'll try to stream on here between now and New Year's and see what happens. I'm kind of excited that Christmas is done because that Santa Claus suit was very hot driving around in the car. And plus, Texas's weather hasn't actually helped me out at 80 degrees with the Santa Claus suit on. But anyways, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to Frank's Corner. Everybody have a good day. I love the few people that do show up and support me. And I mean, I even like the people that don't support me. It's okay. To each their own. But hope everybody has a new year, good New Year's. Peace out. We'll holler at you again when I see something else happen. Take care of yourselves. Have a good day. Bye bye.